Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. I know a lot of my viewers are older than the average, so we say 50 and above. Not all, of course not all, but on the whole, 50 and above. I look at the stats, I'm there. And so this will probably be of interest to you. There is, and has been for some time now, a perception, and it's pushed in the mainstream media, in the world of advertising, TV dramas, all sorts of things, that once you hit about 50, you're a doddery old tart who doesn't know what he's talking about, gets lost, has terrible memory, isn't very good. And that's been portrayed as a stereotype. You know, like, okay, boomer used to be a thing, and oh, never mind that, granddad. And you go, I'm 51, you know, things like that. So, and it's the way that the young think about us as well, right? And it's a wonderful little stereotype, which is quite wrong. But then stereotypes have to come from somewhere, so maybe there's some people like that, but generally not. Another thing they seem to say and suggest is that older people, boomers, I'm Gen X, but the boomers and the Gen X, they tend to be hoarders of wealth. Look at them boomers not spending their money, or look at them all sitting there going off on their cruises, drinking their champagne. Look at them spending inheritance money, or as we like to call it, our own money. And that's how it is, you know. And the young seem to think that they're owed this money. Don't be spending me inheritance, granddad. You know, fuck off. I've worked hard for my money. I'm going to go and sit on a cruise and sip my champagne as the world sails by. That's relative. You're sailing by, but you know what I mean. And this is a perception. Like I say, it's that stereotype. Now, Parliament, and you wonder why they get in with this, but Parliament are criticising now this sort of doddery old fart, wealth hoarding, big house owning when there's only two of you there generation. They're saying, oh no, we mustn't be doing this, mustn't be criticising things, and they're calling for better representation of elderly people on TV and in adverts and things. Why is it, you sit and watch an advert on Channel 4 of an afternoon, and every third advert is either a Stannah stairlift, a walk-in bath, or, you're going to die soon, take some insurance out. You'd hear me? Turn your hearing aid up, Grandad. It's all like that. And they say, well, this is wrong. No, let's show older people in a positive light, And I think it's quite right. So anyway, there was a vote, not a vote at all. There was a report from the Commons Women and Equalities Committee. It's funny how it's a Women and Equalities Committee. Why not Men, Women and Equalities? It seems very unfair to only target women and equalities, but not men. Seems unequal. Irony. Anyway, it said the portrayal was normalising ageism. And they're right. They criticised the depictions of the boomers and the Gen X as either frail or enjoying life of luxury at the expense of their children and grandchildren's inheritance. And the report also hits out on what they say is a failure by successive governments to change attitudes and to address what they call digital exclusion. To be honest, I can't see digital exclusion being a thing going forward. Computers have been a thing in this country from the age of the micro in sort of 1980 onwards. So we're talking, 45 years. It's not as though we've got old people from the 70s. Old people in the 70s, they were old when they were about 40. And you see a woman in her 50s with a little tartan trolley, her hair in a net or something, or in a scarf, a big woolly coat, and she'd be crooked up the road, and she was only like 50. Nowadays, Jesus, Mike, as I'm sitting here, you look around. I live in a village, got lots of older people in them. They're all driving around big cars, walking around, they're all living a life of luxury. Not them wandering around with their little tartan shopping trolleys, moaning about, oh, I don't like this newfangled decimal currency. No. Oh, it's no. I'd put 2 shillings in the meter last night. We don't have that anymore. It's bollocks. But it seems to be the perception that that's going forward. I blame Alf Garnett for this. Anyway, the other thing they've got to remember is demographics. The country's getting older. The average age in the country constantly increasing. More old people, fewer young people. I'm going to blame the young people for this. If you're young and not breeding, it's not our fault. We bred you. Why you need to get out and breed more, enjoy yourself, Screw the expense. Just pop it in, wiggle it about a bit, make a baby, lots and lots of babies. You'll find your wealth will come. No pun intended. 11 million people in Britain are now aged, well, England and Wales anyway, are now aged over 65. And more than 500,000 people are aged over 90. Wow. And of course, a lot of them now come up, they've got through, they've made their money, they're sitting there, they've got the nice house, it's all paid for, thank you very much. They've got living on their pension, state and private often. At the very least, they have the ability to capitalise their homes. So there's no reason for absolute poverty anymore if you're elderly and you own your home. So, but the families, it's the kids. They're all going, I don't want to work, Grandad, please. I can't buy a house. What's your plans for getting the deposit of your house? I'm waiting for Grandad to die, Or Grandma says she's leaving me a quarter of her house. That thing. This is what it is. Now, to be fair, some of them, that's their only chance at all of ever getting a house. But isn't it sad? Anyway, MPs had this thing. They put into a 2020 report from the Centre of Ageing Better, which looked at the portrayal of older people on television, in magazines, in advertising, etc. They also sent witnesses to their inquiry on the rights of the older people. Said older people were frequently stereotyped as wealthy boomers, living comfortably in homes they own, while younger generations struggle on low incomes, unable to afford the housing market and struggling with high rents. That may well be the case. Work harder, educate yourself, get a better job. It's what we did. I didn't walk into a huge paid job. I walked into a shitty little job right at the beginning. Not true. I was actually in the army for a while, but when I came out of the army, I was basically a little office junior. Not far off it. I was an accounts clerk for a, what they call them, builder's merchant. And that's where I started. And, just a little lowly accounts clerk, processing invoices, learning my trade. Did that for a few years, got bumped up, joined a firm of accountants. Oh, yes, I ran away and joined a firm of accountants. Did that for 5 years. And then went on from there. And then the next 25 years, I worked for a house builder. Ended up very, very senior in that position. But it's progressive, Made your money as you go along because you've got age, experience, knowledge, contacts. You can't go out young and expect to buy a house. I couldn't. Boomers couldn't when they were young. It's a myth and a fallacy. Anyway, average independent wealth is increasing. Here's the thing. Boomers are the generation with the biggest pension income in retirement. And they are the ones who've benefited the most from the rise of property values. Gen X are the ones that will have earned the most. Millennials will be the ones that inherit the most. There we go. So moaning millennials, don't moan much. You are going to be the biggest inheritors of wealth in British history. As for the rest of us, we'll struggle on manfully. Thanks very much. Bye.